Hello and welcome to Blush, the world's first wellness show that's actually entertaining. I'm Hiva and I quit law so I can help you look and feel your best. Together, we get into food, nutrition, all the latest wellness trends, but we also laugh, get silly, drop a few F-bombs, and go on a million tangents. So if that sounds like your vibe, we're about to be best friends.
Hello and happy Tuesday. My sinuses are still fucked, although far better, but I'm pretty tired all the time still, and there's just a ton of phlegm, and sometimes the ear pressure or the pressure changes in my ears. Oh, and the tops of my teeth feel like they hurt still. So that's cool. My thumb is getting better slowly. I did hurt my ankle over the weekend. It's just the accident report at the top of the episode. And then this morning in Solid Core, Solid Core is on a reformer machine, like a Pilates reformer machine. And we do a lot of ab work on it, like plank vibes ab work. So a lot of the time your toes are hooked under the straps on the machine. And we were meant to go from our toes to our knees. And so I go to move my feet and I have to backtrack. So months and months ago, I hurt my big toe on my right foot. I actually have no idea what happened. I just knew one day it kind of hurt the way a bruise would. And then over time, a bruise developed there. It took weeks to even see a bruise there. And then over time, and by that I mean recently. So when I started getting manicures, by the way, if you're watching on video, I am so sorry for the status of my nails. I'm going to go get them fixed this week, but it's actually the trashiest thing I've ever seen. It's so bad. But in all fairness, I've been sick and dealing with things. Anyway, so when I started getting manicures, my first time, I got a manicure and a pedicure, and she kind of commented on the toenail. She goes, "Oh, that's going to fall off." And I was like, that's sick, because I've never had that happen to me before. I was not a very outdoorsy or sportsy child, so I really didn't have a lot of the common kind of injuries. I did sprain both of my ankles numerous times, not really from being sporty. The first time happened because I was running in the school hallway, probably because they had like put out brownies or something. I was like, oh, a bitch can't get there fast enough. And then I suddenly stopped because I thought I saw a friend and I fell over. I rolled out my ankle and I fell over. They put it in a mini, like not even a proper cast, like a bandaged kind of cast. Like it was glued on, but it wasn't cast, you know what I mean? When they went to get it off, by the way, with a power saw, I was like, let's leave it on. I think it can just become a part of me. Maybe my leg can grow around it. My body can just absorb it. Fun fact about me, a few years ago, the podcast was in existence when this happened, by the way. A few years ago, I wonder if I talked about it back then. I don't know. Because it happened, I think, it happened in 2021 for sure. Oh, the podcast was fully in existence when this happened. I went and I got my ear pierced with one of my friends, and I already have a lot of piercings. So I got one I don't even know what it's called. It's like the bowl of the ear. Like if you think of the ear like a toilet, it's like the bowl, the part that you pee into. I got a piercing in the middle there. I'm sure there's a formal word for it, but you know that part of the cartilage where it's hollow? I got a piercing in there. Really pretty earring too. I need to find it. And, I clean around it like you're supposed to. And then one day I go to clean and I felt like I couldn't push it out. Like it was sticking out really far. So I was like, "Hey, Aussie, can you come look at this?" And he was like, "Oh, the back of your ear grew around the back of the earring." Like basically my body had just absorbed the earring as part of its own. So that was really fun. And it ended up being far more dramatic to get it removed than you would imagine. I went to a piercing place. I was like, "Can you get it out?" They're like, "No, you have to go to urgent care." And so I went to urgent care and they're like, "Yeah, we can't do this. You have to go to a surgeon." And I was like, "Absolutely not. Like someone just give me like a fucking needle. We can get this thing out." And then that week I was going to see my dad in California, and he took me to this Persian family doctor who I guess has lower standards. And he's like, yeah, I'll numb it up and get it out. Like, this is so stupid. I can't believe they're sending you to a surgeon. I was like, no, I know, crazy, right? Like, I'd rather die than go to an ENT and be like, I'm here to get the piercing out of my ear. He'd be like, literally, there are people dying. This is not a priority. Anyway, so, wow, I love how we're this many tangents deep and I'm talking about nothing basically. So yeah, I was not like that type of kid who was, like I've never had stitches. Well, I've had teeth pulled, so I've had stitches inside my mouth, but I've never had stitches elsewhere, like I always thought that was so cool. People have got injured. Probably because I was so attention needy as a kid. I probably saw someone with a broken foot and I was like, that's cool. How do I get me one of those? Anyway, so when I got my toenails done months ago, she was like, this is going to come off. We'll just paint over it, but it's fine. And then over the past few months, I've noticed that there's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like there's this layer that kind of protrudes on the top of my toenail, but I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking touch that shit until it fully falls out. Like the concept of not having a toenail or like having a toenail fall off like really mentally freaks me out. So I was like, I'm not even gonna address this situation. Anyway, I think you know where the story is going. So this morning I'm in solid core and we have to switch from the toes to the knees. By the way, has anyone noticed that I rebound a lot faster when I go on tangents than I used to? And I know I've brought it up before. It's just interesting to me because I have a lot of brain fog right now. Like I am not firing on all cylinders at all due to aforementioned sinuses. And the fact that I'm still able to get back to where I was a lot easier than I used to, I think there's some there. I think we should study it. I have a few theories, creatine being one of them. I have been taking lion's mane kind of regularly and they say it helps. Like I haven't really perceptively felt sharper in any way, shape or form. This is the one thing that I notice. It's when I go on tangents, I can find where I was pre-tangent a lot better than I used to be able to. So that could be one of them. I'm eating a lot more protein in general. That could be, I don't know. I don't know if all of these things are good contributors. So, and I have caffeine now. Yeah, it's probably a combo of all the things. Anyway, so where was I? Kind of meta moment because I actually did kind of forget. No, so the toenails. So yeah, I go to switch from toes to knees and I pull out my toes and the fucking toenail thing gets caught on the strap and all of a sudden I feel this sharp pain and I just stop. I barely even look down. I just looked down to see if it was like still attached or not. And it was still attached, but I was like, I'm not going investigating. I don't need to know what's going on. It's literally none of my business. Whatever is going on my own big toe, none of my fucking business. I just ran out of the room, went to the front desk and I said, hey, do you have some Band-Aids? She gave me a few. I just wrapped it all up and now I just have it wrapped like a little mummy. Speaking of a mummy, I am having a mouth tape problem. So basically I've tried every type of mouth tape that I could get my hands on. And historically I ended up using this tape. It's just like skin tape or something. Here, hold on. I have my phone because Printergate 2025 is trucking along still. So I can tell you exactly what it is that I get. It's the NextCare Stronghold pain-free removal tape for sensitive skin. So I like it. The problem is, number one, I like it. It's 1 inch thick. Basically, I put just a horizontal strip across my face. But I'd like it if it were a bit thicker than 1 inch so it could cover more above and below my lips. So that's one of my issues. The other issue is you cannot have anything on your lips or really, quite frankly, your skin in general. It just will not adhere at all. So that's my dilemma with that one. And then I have this other tape for skin that I've used, but that one literally pulls my skin off. So I've stopped using that one. A lot of the more like specialized designed to be mouth tapes won't stick on. or they don't fully cover the perimeter of my lips, which is shocking because I don't even have big lips. Like I'm out here every day being like, wow, you are a thin-lipped bitch. Like how do I don't even want bigger lips. I want a shorter distance between my nose and the top of my top lip. Like do I have surgery for that? Could I staple it up? Is that an option? Maybe super glue? Anyway, so yeah, a lot of those don't work. And then I got this other, basically I've gone through I think 7 or 8 different brands of mouth tape in the past few months. I just got one that's advertised for being like, it's money back guarantee. It will stay on over skincare. And here's the thing. It does stay on over skincare. The problem, it has a little slit in the middle so that you can breathe. But the problem is when you're a fucking mouth breather, you're going to use the slit to breathe. What's the point in putting tape all over my fucking face if it has a hole in the one part where I don't want a fucking hole? And I understand that it's supposed to be like whatever, so you don't die. The hole is way too big. The hole is way too fucking big. So that does nothing for me. So now I use scar tape for mouth tape. And there are 2 problems. Number 1, it doesn't stick on perfectly. It tends to come loose a lot. Number 2, I feel like I probably shouldn't put scar tape on my lips. I don't know. Just because there's an opening and then that's how we eat. I just worry that a lot of like chemicals are getting inside my mouth. Like this sounds dangerous. Anyway, so any tips would be appreciated. I mean, at this point, maybe I get stitches in my mouth. I just get them stitched shut. I think a lot of people would be grateful if I chose that option, quite frankly. Oh my God, excuse me. Yeah, so moving right along, I'm injured all over. I can't breathe. Sinuses overflowing from everywhere. My ears go in and out of pressure. And I tested so many recipes today and they're so good. Like I'm so fully in my soup era. I can't even put into words how much I'm in my soup era. Like all I fucking want is soup. I can't believe I have not partaken this aggressively in soup culture in the past. Like the past few winters, like yeah, I'd go buy soup sometimes, but it wasn't a staple in what I was eating. In fact, 2 years ago, I was eating like fucking melons all winter long, if I remember correctly. Nope, not this year. All a bitch fucking eats is soup, and I'm just making new soups left, right, and center. I just tested a soup that I'm going to do on an upcoming episode of Blush Kitchen, so get excited for that because it's going to be a good time. And some other recipes. Ooh, I'm so excited. There's so much good stuff coming up. You guys have no idea. I just need to try to not die first from, a nail falling off or one of my sinuses exploding or, my thumb. Wait, did I tell you guys what actually happened with my thumb? Okay, this is so embarrassing. So how I was making the biggest deal. Oh, my thumb hurts. Oh my God, it feels like I broke my thumb. And then I have an ounce of self-awareness enough to be like, it's probably not broken based on the fact that I can literally do everything I've ever done with my thumb and it's not swollen or anything. Yeah, I'm 99% sure the reason my thumb hurts is from holding my book at night in bed. Well, I think there was a strain that built up over time. And then one night specifically, I fell asleep while holding the book and it was just leaning against my thumb. And I think it was that night when I woke up in the middle of the night and my thumb really fucking hurt. So I think that's what was happening with my thumb. I mean, Drama Queen 2025, like Jesus Christ, if that was an award, would I win it? When I say I hurt my ankle, it was over the weekend. We were staying with some friends in Connecticut and, there were 2 steps that I missed because I was actually in the middle of posting an episode clip to social media as I was walking and I didn't see these 2 steps and I went flying and my ankle rolled out and stuff. But the yelp I let out, everyone was like, oh my God, is she dying? Aussie was like, no, she got a paper cut. That's her reaction to just life in general. The lights may have turned on unexpectedly. Any number of good things could have happened, but I can guarantee you she is not injured. Anyway, so yeah, that's a recap of all my ailments and injuries. Now should we get into the fucking episode? Wait, okay, real quick other story. So I just got new slippers because my old slippers were so disgusting, like so fucking disgusting. I actually think there may have been some mold inside them. And wait, I want to just have a quick conversation about mold. I am finding that there is far more mold in the world than I've ever been prepared for. Like, I'm just finding mold everywhere. Everywhere I look, I'm like, oh, is that black mold? Yeah, I think that's black mold. Shit, I guess I should throw that out. We threw out a bath mat a couple months ago we threw out one bath mat months ago because it had black mold on it. And then I got one of those, oh my God, you're going to die laughing at me because I don't know how to say this word. So you know that type of stone, it starts with a D. I'm just laying out the groundwork for you before I say my fucked up version of saying it, which is not right. My friend Maggie the other day literally said it to me over and over and over again to try to get me to say it correctly, and I still fucking can't say it. It's in my head, it's dichotomous. That's not what it is. That's not what the word is. Hold on, I'm going to look it up. And then I'll explain what the material is, but it's supposed to dry. It's supposed to be really like it absorbs water and it dries quickly, and it's great for these things. Hold on, let's see. Okay, it's spelled okay, let me just preface this. Part of the reason why I have a hard time pronouncing the word is because I don't even know how it's spelled. So it's not like I've ever sat and looked at it and then tried to say it. It's that I know it's a jumble of certain letters. Like I know it's DIA, and then there's M's, O's, C's, T's, and it ends in an OUS. So I don't even know what the order of the letters is, which is why I don't know. You know how there are certain words, you only see them written. You've never even bothered saying it out loud. So you didn't even register in your head how the letters work. Or is that just me? Is that dyslexia? Do I need to go to a doctor? Okay, it's spelled DIATOMACEOUS. Okay, let me take one stab at it before I look it up. Diatomaceous earth. Okay, now let's look up how it's actually pronounced. Oh, let me tell you what it is real quick. It's a fine powdery substance made from the fossilized remains of diatoms. What the fuck is a diatom? Oh, it's a type of algae. Interesting. It's used as natural pest control, a dietary supplement, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't care about this stuff. I care about why is it used for wet stuff so much then? It's something about its water absorption or something. Pronunciation. Here we go. Ooh, okay, let's have the bitch do it for us, yeah?
Diatomaceous earth.
Diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth. Okay, so yeah, that word. So I got one of those bath mats and I'm like, amazing, this thing is built for water situations, it's going to work out so well. And it had these rings in it as part of the design, and the other day I looked down and they're fucking filled with mold, so we had to get rid of that. I actually broke it. I was having a really angry day. We were already going to throw it out and I was having a really ragey day, so I just slammed it to the ground. I did a little rage room with it and I just released that anger. Fuck, my mental health has not been the best. Now that I look back, I was like really kind of losing it. Anyway, but sometimes you have to control to release the anger. Oh, okay. So my slippers had mold in them, right? And they were just like really falling apart and so bad. And actually I'd posted some photo on Instagram and I was wearing the slippers and someone DM'd me and goes, I really can't with the way your toes are hanging out of the slippers. And I looked and I was like, sorry, just my throat. I'm gonna gag. I'm gonna fucking throw up. That is vile. That is so fucking nasty. So I think the next day I went to buy new slippers and I'd been eyeing these ones from Bombas for a while. And by a while, I mean a day and a half to 2 days. They have two different ones that I thought both looked good. So I go, this is a stupid story. Now that I'm starting to tell it, I'm really regretting this decision, but whatever. We're already in. We can't back out. So I go to the Bombas store and I try on both the slippers, and then should I even fit it? It's like really not worth it the more I think. But I just feel like if I don't finish, you know what? I'm going to abandon the story. It's not worth it. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Okay. This is stupid now. Okay, let's get into the point of today's episode. So it is just about Thanksgiving, I think. I don't know. Let's spend some time looking at a calendar, yeah? When is Thanksgiving? Oh, okay. Well, not quite. So Thanksgiving is over a week from now, but in my head, Thanksgiving would have been 2 days after this episode comes out, which I'm now finding out is incorrect. Nevertheless, we're ready here, so we're still going to do this episode. So Aussie and my first date was almost exactly 5 years ago. It was the Sunday after Thanksgiving in 2020 was our first date. And so I thought it would be fun to do like a little episode. Sorry if you just heard that. It was shockingly loud. I was peeling off part of my nail because my nails are fucking breaking left, right, and center. It's a tragedy here, the situation with my nails. I mean, I can't overemphasize. You know what I should do? I should just cut them until I go get them fixed, because this is not going to work. Like, I'm on the verge of injuring myself. Anyway, so I'll actually look up exactly when our first date was. Let's go. Ooh, look at this. Okay, let's go to 2020. November. Our first date was November 29th of 2020. So yeah, that was another year where Thanksgiving, I guess Thanksgiving's always the last Thursday of the month. Okay, why are we spending so much time on this? Now, to be clear, we haven't been together for 5 years straight. We actually have kind of a long, complicated story. If you're a newer listener, if you're an OG listener, you've heard this entire story, I believe, before. So we first matched on Bumble in July of 2019. We, sent a few messages back and forth. Nothing much happened, whatever. And then a month later, maybe he messaged me, a few back and forths. Nothing happened, whatever. This kind of went on for a fucking year, over a year. And then I remember in September of 2020, so this is now over a year after we've matched, we still have not met. He messaged me one time and I had just changed phones and I didn't have any of my old phone history. So I didn't even know who it was. So I was like, who is this? And I was in a bad mood that day. This was not long after I started getting my period again, after about a decade of not having my period. And I remember I was PMSing and the PMSs were wild at the time. Like, it took so long for my body, not that they're any better now. In fact, my last two PMSs have been so bad that I'm like, I think I need to go to a doctor. Like, this is not normal. Just in terms of mood swings, like, they've been so psychotic. Like, it's actually kind of, that's when I broke the bath mat, to put it in perspective. It was 2 cycles ago when I was PMSing. I was like, I have to break something and this is garbage anyway. Anyway, so I was moody, I was PMSing, and he texted me and I go, who is this? And he goes, oh, it's Aussie. His name isn't Aussie, but from, what did he say? He said, it's Aussie from Tinder from a million years ago. And I was just in a fucking mood. So I responded and I go, I've never had fucking Tinder and I don't know who the fuck you are. And he goes, oh, okay, sorry, it could have been Bumble, which I respect so much. I feel like anyone else, if they got that text, they'd be like, okay, this person's nuts. Like, I should stop talking to her. Meanwhile, he's like, oh, okay, just a Tuesday, whatever. Like, so unfazed by my cuntiness. And then I was like, oh, okay, wait, can you send me a screenshot of your profile? Because I just don't remember who you are. And he did. And I did remember him, whatever. We send a couple messages back and forth per usual. He wasn't even in the fucking country. I'm like, why do you keep messaging me when you're not even in the country? Anyway, so then the podcast launches a month later. And I just went through my entire text history and I texted a link to pretty much everyone I'd been texting with. I texted a link to him. He responds and he says something so cunty. He goes, oh, great. Just when we need 2 more Americans talking about themselves. And I was like, well, first of all, I am not American, so fuck you very much. So we messaged back and forth a few times then. This is October of 2020. Fast forward to November of 2020. It's Thanksgiving. And I have a couple of people over, stragglers who were all not able to be with our families that year for Thanksgiving. And we were drinking, as one does on the holidays. Some people did. It was actually my first time ever drinking on a Thanksgiving ever that year. Because I'd always done it with my family, and my family doesn't drink. So, which is actually, now that I'm older, one of the things that I like the most about my family. I really think that I have a lot of balance around alcohol because I grew up in a family that doesn't drink. So I've never been someone who reaches for a glass of wine at the end of the night, because I just never saw that behavior really until now, you know what I mean? So anyway, that's neither here nor there. So we are drinking, and he messaged me happy Thanksgiving, and I wrote back. I said, hey, let's get a drink this Sunday, 1 p.m. this bar. And Sunday rolls around, and I wake up and I realized I had scheduled 3 different dates with 3 different guys, all for 1 p.m. that day. And I'm like, okay, I'm either going to have to cancel 2 dates, or I'm going to have to, Mrs. Doubtfire it up. And I just don't have that many costumes. So I feel like I'm going to need to cancel 2 dates. And I looked through it, and my options, I actually can't remember who the third one was with. One of them was with this guy, I call him a tech billionaire. He's not a billionaire with a B, but he's definitely a multimillionaire who I'd been on a few dates with. And he was nice enough, but maybe at another point I'll talk about what ended up being the issue with him, because he comes into play a little while later too in our story. It's actually kind of funny. Anyway, but I'd been out with him a few times, and he's a really nice guy, super wellnessy. We really connected on that stuff. Plus he's super rich, which who doesn't love, whatever. And then there's this guy, and I was like, you know what? This guy seems so nutty from his, not his social media, what's it called? His dating app profile. He just seems very artsy and eccentric and different. Plus, we've been messaging for a year and a half and haven't met up. And he seems to be very tolerant of crazy. So this could make for really good podcast stories. I'm going to go out with this guy. And then literally as soon as we met, I was like, oh no, I'm fucking obsessed with him. It was best first date of my life. I had so much fun. I remember, not to sound really cheesy, but my first date with Aussie was the first time where I really, really, really felt like I was myself, which sounds like a stupid thing to say, but let me backtrack a little. I think that deep down, I'm a very kind of silly person, but I grew up in a very serious household where there was not a lot of laughter or joking around. My dad is very, very, very serious. He's not a jokey kind of person at all. And I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, especially when I was younger, before I was even in school, because my parents had just moved to Germany from Iran. They didn't really know people. They didn't really have kids to have me play with. So I grew up very isolated, and I really didn't know how to be a kid, and I really didn't know how to be silly. And there were all these parts of me that were inside that I wanted to express, but I never felt like I could express. And I remember it came up a lot when I was dating the comedian, because he's very silly. And I remember I would watch him, and I'd have this silliness inside of me that I felt like I couldn't express, and I didn't know how to express. It's kind of have you ever been somewhere and you're watching people dance and you're like, I want to dance, but it's I don't know how, and I don't want to look stupid, and I don't want to embarrass myself. So I'll just sit here instead. It was that kind of vibe, So anyway, my first date with Aussie was the first time where I felt like I was being so silly and just fully myself, and I was very fearless, and I just didn't care if I looked stupid. It was such a cool feeling, and we hit it off so well in terms of our sense of humor was so compatible, and we just had so much fun. And then I brought him to help me walk my dog, and he met Samantha, and Sam just adored him from the get-go, and it just was such a click. I was fucking obsessed with him from the get-go. So this was the end of November of 2020. We kept seeing each other, and then I kind of noticed a bit of a vibe shift around late December, and I asked him about it, and he said, well, I just found out that I'm actually going back to Australia late January. He said, originally I wasn't going to go because of COVID and the borders and stuff, but now they're arranging a whole thing because he works in Australia. Well, he's Australian, but also he works in Australia around December to January, like our winter months, their summer months. He's always in Australia, but that year he wasn't meant to go because of everything shutting down. But then they figured out how to make a way to like make this tournament still happen. So all of a sudden he is leaving again. So he's like, yeah, I have been different because I'm about to leave and I don't know how this would work with me gone. And, I've had bad experiences with it in the past and yada, 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 right? Whatever. We keep hanging out until he leaves. Like literally the last night before he went to the airport, he stayed at my place. Whatever. And then he goes back to Australia and I'm like barely fucking hearing from this motherfucker. And we're not exclusive at all, keep in mind. But still, like I, thought we were like in love and about to get married. And all of a sudden I'm barely hearing from him and it's just frustrating. So then I start talking to other guys. And I was the entire time. But I find this new guy, Van Guy, you might recall if you're a longtime listener. If not, I started dating this other guy while Aussie was in Australia. And we ended up actually in like a full-blown relationship together, which I just want to say would not have fucking happened if this asshole had called me when he was in Australia. Just like a text here and there wouldn't have happened. Nevertheless, I'm now dating this other guy and Aussie and I were still talking a little bit here and there. So I did tell him after that happened and because he would text me here and there, and so I was like, hey, listen, just I am dating someone now, because integrity is of utmost importance to me. So Aussie comes back from Australia. I'm not even entirely sure when he came back from Australia. This is now 2021, by the way. It's early 2021. I've been seeing Van Guy for a few months. And I think I knew by like April or so that he was back because he had made a couple references to it. And I was actually so excited to see him, but I'm dating Van Guy, and Van Guy was meant to leave New York imminently, but he wasn't. And at this point, I kind of knew I was going to break up with Van Guy, not for anything Aussie related, but I kind of could feel the expiration coming up on that relationship. And so basically it just keeps dragging on. It's like really hard to leave this relationship, blah, blah. I remember in May, this was a big moment for me. I don't fucking know why I decide to bring Van Guy down to see my family. Big mistake. It did not go well at all. But I remember when we were leaving, I texted my best friend and I said, I can't stop thinking about how much better this would be if it were Aussie and not Van Guy. And then not long after we came back, I broke up with Van Guy and I immediately texted Aussie to hang out, but I was never planning on like being more than friends at this point, because basically to me, it felt like Aussie was really avoidant and I was like, I don't want to deal with this bullshit. Like I want someone who's emotionally available. I'm not going to deal with like being unclear on where I stand with someone. I'd listened to all the things on social media, like, oh, if you're unsure how he feels about you, then he doesn't like you, and like blah, 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 all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, obviously he's not serious about me, or he's not serious in general, or whatever the fuck it is. I'm not going to deal with this. Like I'm going to find my own person. But him and I have such a strong sense of humor connection. Like we have to be friends. I have to have him in my life. And I remember the first time we hung out after Van Guy and I broke up, he said something to me. He's like, I'm sorry that I kind of lost touch with you when I went back to Australia. I don't want to use this as a cop out, but I was in a really bad place. And, I know that's no excuse. And I said to him, and I was so honest in that moment. I said, you know what? Honestly, I appreciate you saying that. But the truth is, I really, really, really liked you the entire time we were seeing each other. And I was playing so many fucking games, and you were probably so unclear on what was going on. And so I kind of don't even really blame you. Like, I feel like I was never really honest about how like seriously into you I was. And what had changed at that point was I had done a lot of work on myself. I had really worked through a lot of my attachment issues. And so I didn't really feel the need to play games anymore. Like, I could just be so honest because I just didn't care anymore. Like, to me, I wasn't trying to date him anymore. So I didn't need to like play coy and play these games and like try to get him to like me or whatever. I was just so honest about it. And we were platonic for a few weeks when we started hanging out again. So this is like late May, early June, or June, I think, of 2021. We hung out for, I think, like 2 to 3 weeks completely platonically. And then one night we were starting to watch Harry Potter together because I just finished the book series. And so I wanted to watch the movies. And so one night we wrapped up watching Harry Potter at my place, and I walked him out to his bicycle on the street, and he just grabbed my face and he kissed me. And then ever since that night, it was on, it was on, and it didn't take long after that for us to become exclusive. And then, the relationship evolved very naturally. And I would say at a really good pace after that, like really not too fast at all. It very, we went from hanging out twice a week to 3 times a week to 4 times a week to 5 times a week to he's kind of not leaving to we officially live together. It really went at a really good pace, and we've been together ever since, which is by far and wide the longest relationship I've ever been in. I mean, before him, we're talking a year and a half max. So this has been quite the feat of accomplishment for me. And I wanted to share in honor of these past 5 years, which again, we haven't been together for all of the 5 years, but we have been in each other's lives very closely for all of the 5 years. And we pretty much have been dating other than a few months when I was fucking pan guy in the middle, other than that, we have been pretty much dating those 5 years. I just wanted to share 5 lessons that I've learned from these 5 years of being with Aussie. And I wrote them down, and, I think I already made this dumb joke earlier this podcast, but we're still in Printergate, so there are no flashcards. So I'm just going to read them. Number 1, and I'm actually starting with this one because I think this is the most important thing that I've learned about relationships. And it's one that I honestly truly wish wasn't true, but it is true. Like, there really is no way around it. And the sooner that you accept this lesson and start implementing it in your relationships, whether they be romantic or otherwise, the sooner you will see your relationships work better. And it's a lesson that I think most all of us are resistant to, especially I think as women. And that is that you have to explicitly ask for your needs if you want them to be met. And I think that this is important because we really grew up in a Disney era, or, these high school rom-com movies where the girl needs something and the guy just anticipates her needs and he magically is there, and anything she could possibly want, he's always giving to her. And I think when we were fed this narrative growing up that when it's your soulmate, they automatically know what you want, and you never have to communicate it. And if they don't automatically know what you want, then it isn't your person. And unfortunately, that just isn't how life works. Unfortunately, most of us, human beings really learn by modeling behavior. So we just observe whatever behavior we were modeled growing up, and then we tend to mimic that behavior. That's why we become so much like our parents, especially when we're in more proximity with our parents. Like, people say, like, oh my God, every day I see I'm turning into my mom. Yeah, you are, because that's what you were modeled. That's how you, it's how we learn how to walk. It's how we learn how to talk. That's why animals who grow up under the care of a different animal begin acting like that other animal rather than what their actual nature is. It's because that's what they grew up around. There's even videos of dogs who have owners who have limps, who then the dog starts limping. It's because they're mimicking what they see. That's what we just do as mammals. And unfortunately, most of us were mimicked really fucked up relationships, or even if they weren't that fucked up, they probably weren't ideal either. They're probably far from the type of relationship that we want in our adult lives, but that's just what we see and that's what we mimic. And then it's imperfect. And then on top of that, a lot of the time the way that we feel love isn't the way that we show love. And, the love languages, I think, is a good baseline to work around this, even though I don't think that they're necessarily exclusive. But for example, I show love a lot by giving gifts, which is weird because receiving gifts is like, when I took the love languages quiz, I got a 0 on that, a 0% for gifts. Like, I do not want to fucking receive gifts. In fact, I have had meltdowns over receiving gifts in the past because I'm very specific about things and I don't want to own too many things, and I'm constantly trying to own less things. And then I'm very picky on physical it doesn't matter. I don't like gifts. I'm not a gift. Like, gift is not in my thing, right? But okay, lost my train of thought now. But I do often show love by giving gifts, which is how my parents showed me love growing up. So that's just kind of what I do. I really like to receive love, or right now at this current juncture of my life, and I do think a lot of this is actually influenced by insecurities and whatnot, but I do really like words of affirmation a lot. And Aussie loves to show love by acts of service and physical time together, physical touch, but especially I would say for him is acts of service. And this came to a head recently. We were supposed to go somewhere and I got really, really sick that morning, and I just could not get it together to go. And he is, all over me, bringing me things, taking care of me, doing every little thing for me. But I was having just a full fucking meltdown because he never said, hey, it's okay. I know you're not feeling well. We're going to stay home. I'm going to take care of you. Those were the exact words that I wanted to hear, but he's not saying them. Instead, he's doing so much. He's doing more than you could even possibly conceive of, because that's his way of trying to take care of me and show me love. And I finally had to say, hey, I appreciate everything you're doing. I see it. This is what I need. I just need you to say these 5 words. Honestly, it's like probably a lot fucking easier anyway, right? So we really do have to explicitly ask for what you want. But the good news is that you don't have to do it for eternity. Like, you ask for what you want and need a few times, and then people tend to remember and take note and adjust their behavior, but you really do have to explicitly ask. Again, it would be so sick to date some kind of like mind reader or 11 from Stranger Things and have her like tap in through the radio and read your thoughts or read what you're doing and, be able to go inside what does she call it? Like a mind circle, whatever. It's just not reality. It just isn't reality. You're just going to have to get used to the fact that you're going to have to ask for what you want. Number 2, no matter how much you think you've healed, all your shit will come up. Again, this came up for me big time last week. I filmed this TikTok showing this hack for getting fresh bread from stale bread. It's not something I made up. It's not that innovative, but I just posted it in case people don't know. So oh my God, I have a rash. Okay, I have a little rash on my neck. Ooh, that's so uncomfortable. Anyway, you just pour water over the stale bread and then toast it, and it'll be like fresh bread again. So I filmed this TikTok. I posted it. I sent it to Aussie. I was like, so proud of myself. I was like, look at this cool trick. And he got really upset because I put the knife in the toaster, which apparently you're not meant to do. I had no idea. Apparently it's like you could blow up the entire house type situation. Like, it's very, very serious. And he got really, really mad, and I got really, really, really upset. And I was unpacking with a friend why I got so upset, and I realized that it's because I'm so desperate for Aussie's approval all the time. And if I don't get it, it's like a little kid. I'm like, oh, it feels like my sense of safety is being threatened. Like it feels like the biggest deal in the world. And I was really thinking about it. And I thought to myself, I thought you had worked through so much of this like need for approval stuff. Like I've done so much, trauma therapy and reprogramming and all this stuff. And I thought I'd worked through a lot of these wounds, but they continuously come up over and over and over again. Because that's what romantic relationships do. Like I thought I'd fully moved to secure attachment before Aussie and I got together. And I do think in many ways I had, but still there is anxious patterning that comes out all the time with me still. Like it's no matter how much you think you've worked through stuff. Again, if you're watching on video, I'm sorry, the nail situation is out of hand. No matter how much you think you've worked through stuff, all your shit is going to come to the surface again. Like there is no amount. I used to think that it was like I had to reach a certain level of self-improvement before I could be in a serious relationship and make it work. Like I almost viewed it as like a certification or a degree, now you're licensed to be in a relationship. It's not like that. You get your licensing in the relationship, truly. I mean, I do think you should do self-work before you enter into a relationship, but believe me, most of the heavy lifting is going to happen in the relationship, regardless of how much you've done up until then. Number 3, you take turns buoying each other, buoying, like a buoy in the ocean. Am I pronouncing that correctly? I think so. Buoy, a buoy. So you take turns kind of holding down the fort. One of you can melt down and the other one is going to have to hold it down, and you really take turns with that. And in our relationship, surprise, surprise, it's usually Aussie buoying me. But there have been times where I buoyed him. There was a time when we were in California last month or whatever. I don't even know. Time is just melding together. I think it was 2 months ago. Who the fuck knows? Maybe it was last month. Who knows? It doesn't matter. When we were in California, we were in San Francisco for a week. He was working there. And then he had gotten a rental car so we could drive down to see my dad, and we went to LA and we went to Palm Springs. We did some other things in California, right? So we were there for 2 weeks total. So the day that we're supposed to be leaving, this is after he's been working for a week. He's fucking exhausted. And when I say, he's gone for work, they're working like 16, 17, 18-hour days. I've seen it before where they've worked 20-hour days. I mean, psychotic. They're working nonstop. It's extreme time pressure. There's a lot going on. There's no like time for rest and recovery and all this stuff. And he's just broken and exhausted and tired. And so he goes to get the rental car, and the rental car place is like, oh, actually, there are no cars left. We accidentally gave every single car away. And there's just a horde of people there who have rental car reservations. Like it's been paid for and there are no cars to give. And he calls and he's like, I'm trying to sort it out, but like, I am not doing well. I'm so angry. Like I can't hold it together. And I was like, it's cool. I can be calm for the two of us. And that was a day where I buoyed him. Like I said, usually he buoys me, but I think that this is really how adult relationships work. You just fucking take turns. One person gets to have a meltdown and the other person holds the two of you together. And I think that that's ultimately what a good relationship is. Let's see. Was that number 3? Yep. Number 4. This is another unfortunate one, but I think if you accept it, your relationships will be easier. There's going to be a lot more compromise than you think. Like you think you're going to find someone. Like Aussie and I are very, very similar in almost every way. Like our values are very similar. Our lifestyles aren't that similar. I guess he travels a lot more than I do. But what we value, the way we want to live, what's important to us, all these things are exceptionally similar. Like we're both pretty wellnessy, but we also like to have balance and go out a little and socialize and things like that. We both kind of have the same long-term vision for life. All these things are the same. So I never thought that there would be so much compromise in a relationship, but there really fucking is. Like Aussie compromises all the time, mainly around me never wanting to do anything, really drags him down. I compromise on my routines and my schedules. Like I often stay up later than I'd like to because I want to just have a moment of connection with him and it hasn't happened earlier in the day. Or I might watch something when I don't necessarily want to, or listen to something when I don't necessarily want to. Now, do I do a ton of compromising? No, honestly, he does a lot more of it in the relationship, but that's neither here nor there. There still is a lot more compromising than you might think. And then this last one, I actually asked him if he had any advice. And so this last one is from him. And he said that showing up is more important than how you show up. And let me explain exactly what he means. So I just mentioned how when he's gone for work, it's really, really, really intense. And when we were first together that first year, honestly, even before we were together, this actually goes back to when I was dating Van Guy. When he would go, when he's on these work things, there's so much pressure. He's so broken. He would be so anxious and he really could never like take any sort of time for himself or do anything. And he was in such a bad mood and he wouldn't really want to talk to me because he thought he was like sparing me of his bad mood. Like he only wanted to be in contact with me if he was in a good mood and he had good things to say. But because it was all bad and stress, he didn't just want to call me and complain and vent and all these things that I think is kind of the point of having a relationship, is having someone to vent to. To him, it was the opposite. He was like, oh, I care about this girl so much. I don't want to talk to her if I'm in a bad mood and drag her down. I don't want to talk to her if I don't have good things to say. I don't want to complain to her. Even to this day, after 5 years of being together, he still has a really hard time complaining to me. Like he'll complain for 2 seconds and then apologize for it. And I'm like, no, vent. That's what I'm here for. But anyway, so what he said is what he's really learned over the past 5 years is just taking the 2 minutes to call me not only lifts his mood, but it makes me happier too. And he's learned that it's okay that he's not perfect. It's okay that he's not in a good mood. It's okay that he's complaining or whatever. It's just the showing up that's building the connection. It doesn't have to be any deeper than that. So I thought that was really, really beautiful. And I wanted to share that with you. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm going to go take a little rest because she's tired. My poor fucking sinuses. Again, if you have any advice on the sinuses, I'm literally all ears. I feel like I'm at my wit's end with all this. Anyways, we will talk later and we'll talk next week to be specific. And until next week, love you. Bye.
If you loved that episode as much as I hope you did, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and check out some past episodes while you wait for the new one to drop next week. And until next week, make sure to stay cunty out there.